Well, can you believe it? We made it to chapter 14. It's been a interesting trip, being everything virtual. But let's talk about chapter 14, which is observing and evaluating small groups. Now, the thing is, we may have created a group, we may have functioned as a group, but the question is, how successful were we or you as a group? Now, the reason you need feedback is you have to understand where the group is doing well, where it could do better. I mentioned earlier in one of my videos, that was in the Army, we had something called after action reports. And an after action report was pretty much like an evaluation. Where did we do right and where did we do wrong? Um, there's a couple of different things to look at in a group. One of them is systemic feedback, and that's focusing on specific behaviors and actions. Ultimately, did we succeed or fail? Were the members on time or late? Were we late with our goals, meeting our deadlines, or were we on time? We also have an option to look at something called observer effects. If you are evaluating your group that you're in the middle of the process and you are watching things, people tend to act differently. There's something called the Hawthorne effect. And what happened was they were trying to figure out if, in this place where they made relays, which was an electrical component back in the day, if lighting changed how the workers worked. So they set them up in different groups, and they noticed that if they raised the lighting or lowered the lighting, it didn't matter. They were still really productive. And what it turned out was that because they were being observed, they were being paid attention to, they were working harder. So anytime you have something you're observing, you have to realize that you are affecting the operation, especially if they know they're being observed. And if they don't know they're being observed, it's really not ethical. So a rating scale. Now, most use something called a Likert type scale, and you have from 3 to 7 different choices, starting out with strongly agree, neutral, and strongly disagree, or agree, neutral, and disagree. And then you might go to strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Or you might throw moderately in there. And then sometimes you just have an even number. Strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. Sometimes that allows or forces the whoever's taking this filling out this evaluation to lean one way or the other instead of just following the safe neutral, and so it depends on the person making the scale. Some questions that you need to ask yourselves and your members is, do you feel part of the solution? You're not going to know how your group worked together unless you find out how people feel about what happened. Do you feel included? Have you ever been part of a group that did something and you didn't feel you were part of the solution, or you didn't feel like you were included? It doesn't make you be a good group member. Do you feel left out? Post-meeting evaluation forms, how clearly did the group analyze the problem? A lot of times we jump on some aspect of the problem and find a solution to it, but we never really found out what the problem was. Were positive events highlighted? When somebody tells you did good, it makes you feel good, makes you want to do good more. I tell my students in my public speaking class that, I grade them. I grade the students. I write the paper down, and they're looking for the score from me. But if a classmate walks up to them and says, "Man, that was a great speech," it boosts their personal pride. It boosts their enthusiasm. It boosts their they can believe in themselves that they can do this. I have to evaluate them, but when a peer says they did a good job, it means a lot more. Were the negative points brushed over? When you did an evaluation of something or you this is our problem, this is what we have to do. Well, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You have to look at the negatives as well as the positive points. Verbal interaction, constant analysis. Who talked to who and how often? When you had a group meeting, there's 6 people in a group, 4 or 5, whatever. Did 2 people do all the talking and 2 people not say anything at all and 2 people kind of talked? Did the members talk to the group, or did the members just talk to that one other person or 2 other people? How did the group interact? Ethically, we have to think about a lot of things as well. Most of us, when we look back on our past, we think about the good old days. We don't tend to remember the negative stuff that happened back then because we want to shut that out of our mind. We want to think about we want to remember what was good. One thing that you can do to avoid that is to keep a journal. When you're in a process doing something, write a journal. Write a diary, journal, whatever you want to call it. But every day make notes and list the positives and the negatives. And accurately record the events that happened. And when you do that, you'll be able to look back over it and you'll be able to see those things that normally your mind shuts out because that wasn't a fun thing. So basically, chapter 14 is not a very long chapter, and it's about understanding the process. Why did this group work or why did it not work? How can we improve ourselves? How can we make it better next time? And be honest with you, you folks will probably never be in the same group again. But that's okay. You can use these skills, what you learned in this group, to work in future groups. Let's say you had a couple of communication problems in this group. There's a couple of people that weren't communicative. Knowing that can happen, being able to see it when it happens and realize it will give you a chance to correct it in future events and future groups. It's been a pleasure working with y'all. I'm looking forward to your group presentations. It's going to be interesting on Zoom. It's not the first time I did a group thing on Zoom, but it'll still be interesting. Please make sure that you're all able to video chat. I don't want to just hear your voice. I want to see your face because part of my evaluation is nonverbals. My evaluation is what are you doing while somebody else is talking? And if you just have your voice there, you could be playing a game and on silent, and I'd never know it because I can't see what you're doing. So looking forward to hearing what you have to say next week. I think it's next week. I'll look at the syllabus. But I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully you're looking forward as much as I am. You're probably looking forward to it being over with, but that's okay. So this will be my last video for the semester. It's been a pleasure. Y'all have my email address. You have my phone number. In the future, if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. And in the future, when you're working on your group, getting ready for your presentation, if you have questions, email me, contact me, and let's get them ironed out before the presentation. Okay? Y'all have a great day. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.